Your legs just don't feel the same anymore. Not weak, exactly. Just shaky. You go to stand up from your favorite armchair and notice it takes more effort than it used to. That solid push from the thighs feels softer, slower. Maybe you've even caught yourself holding onto the wall or a nearby table for just a second longer than you'd like. You might be thinking, is this just aging? Or worse, is something going wrong? This isn't just about getting older. It's about staying strong, steady, and confident on your feet. And if your legs have been feeling less dependable lately, it might surprise you to learn that some of the vitamins you've been faithfully taking, ones that promise to help, might actually be quietly working against you. Not all supplements are as harmless as they seem, especially as our bodies change with age. So today, we're going to have an honest conversation about what's really going on and why a few common vitamins might be slowly chipping away at your leg strength without you even realizing it. This isn't meant to scare you, but to empower you. When you understand the hidden risks, you can take control and make choices that genuinely support your health. So we'll explore the 3 specific vitamins that may be sabotaging your legs, what to watch out for, and what you can do instead to protect and even rebuild your strength. We'll also touch on what your body truly needs after 60 to stay mobile and energized. Let's start with one that might already be sitting on your kitchen counter: vitamin E. Now, vitamin E is often marketed as this all-purpose antioxidant that's supposed to support heart health, skin, and immunity. But what many people don't realize is that when taken in high doses, especially in synthetic form, it can actually interfere with your muscles' ability to function properly. One of the most overlooked side effects of excessive vitamin E is muscle weakness, particularly in the legs and arms. It's completely understandable to think, but isn't more of a good thing better? That's what the label suggests, right? You might have picked up a bottle at the pharmacy years ago, heard it was good for circulation, and just kept refilling ever since. But here's the thing. High doses of vitamin E can reduce your body's natural use of vitamin K, which helps regulate muscle function and blood clotting. This imbalance can gradually contribute to a slower, less responsive muscle tone, especially noticeable in the legs where we rely so heavily on stability. I remember chatting with a gentleman in his early 70s who used to walk every morning. One day, he found himself stumbling a bit on his usual route. No pain, just a strange sense of unsteadiness. After we talked through his routine, it turned out he was taking a high-dose vitamin E supplement daily, 400 IU or more. Once he stopped and focused instead on food-based sources like almonds and spinach, and brought balance back with a lower doctor-recommended dose, his strength and confidence began to return. Not overnight, but steadily, day by day. So if you're taking a vitamin E supplement, flip the bottle over. Is it synthetic? Is the dose over 100 IU? If so, it may be time to reconsider. The best approach is to get your vitamin E from real, whole foods: sunflower seeds, avocados, and even a little olive oil drizzled on your salad. These are gentle on the system and give your body what it needs without tipping the balance. Now, let's talk about another sneaky culprit: vitamin B6. This one is tricky because it's often included in multivitamins, energy supplements, and even memory support formulas. But here's something most labels don't tell you. B6 is neurologically active, which means too much of it over time can actually damage your nerves. And where do those nerves first start to suffer? Often, it's the legs. Tingling, numbness, weakness. These are the red flags. Many people don't realize they're getting way more B6 than they need, especially if they're taking multiple supplements at once. Unlike some nutrients that your body flushes out easily, excess B6 can build up and slowly erode the connection between your brain and your limbs. It's called peripheral neuropathy, and once it sets in, it can make something as simple as walking across the room feel uncertain or even risky. Let me give you an example. A woman I worked with, early 60s, very active, loved gardening, started noticing pins and needles in her feet. Then came the muscle cramps, and eventually, she felt like her legs weren't doing exactly what her brain told them to do. It was frustrating and scary. After some digging, we found out she was taking a high-potency B complex every morning that had 100 mg of B6, nearly 75 times the recommended daily amount. No one had ever warned her that B6 in those quantities could be harmful. She thought she was doing the right thing. What helped was switching to a low-dose multivitamin and emphasizing B6-rich foods like bananas, potatoes, and chicken, just enough to support her without overwhelming her system. She also started using a daily balance routine, including heel raises at the kitchen counter and short-seated leg lifts. Slowly but surely, her sensations started to return. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you've had that odd numbness in your toes or a strange cramp that didn't seem tied to activity. If you've been on high-dose B6 for a while, it's worth asking your doctor for a simple blood test to check your levels. It's quick, and it could save you from months, if not years, of discomfort. These aren't dramatic overnight reactions. They're slow, subtle shifts in your body, ones that are easy to chalk up to just getting older. But you deserve better than that. You deserve to feel steady, strong, and secure in every step you take. And it starts with knowing what's helping you and what might be quietly holding you back. There's still one more vitamin we need to talk about, one that surprises even the most health-conscious among us. And it might just be the most damaging of all when it comes to leg strength. Let's get into that third vitamin now, vitamin D, but specifically the kind that's being taken in high, unnecessary doses without supervision. Yes, you read that right. Even though vitamin D is often praised for supporting bone health and immunity, too much of it can tip the scales in the wrong direction, especially when it comes to your muscle control and leg function. Now, I want to be very clear. Vitamin D is essential. Many older adults are deficient, and supplementing can be helpful when done correctly. But the problem arises when people, often with the best intentions, start taking very high doses daily without having their levels checked. Doses of 5,000 to even 10,000 IU every day may sound like a good way to make up for lost time. But when your body stores more vitamin D than it needs, it can start to draw too much calcium into the blood. And that's where the trouble begins. Excess calcium in the bloodstream can cause all sorts of issues. But one of the earliest and most overlooked symptoms is muscle weakness, especially in the thighs and calves. That feeling when you go to stand up and your legs just don't quite support you the way they used to? Or when climbing stairs suddenly feels like hiking a mountain. Sometimes it's not about aging, it's about imbalance. A gentleman I know, 68 years old, had recently retired and was feeling enthusiastic about taking better care of himself. He read somewhere that vitamin D was the key to vitality and started taking 10,000 IU every day. After a few months, he noticed his legs felt unusually tired after short walks. He assumed he was out of shape, but when his doctor checked his blood work, his calcium was too high, and his vitamin D levels were well above the safe range. Once he stopped the high doses and switched to a monitored moderate approach, along with staying hydrated and walking daily, his strength gradually returned. If you're taking vitamin D and you're unsure how much you really need, the best thing you can do is get your blood levels tested. That one step can guide you toward the right dose for your body, because what's safe for someone else might be too much for you. Often, a daily dose of 600-800 IU is plenty, and your doctor might even suggest you take it only every few days depending on your levels. Also, remember that vitamin D is best absorbed with a bit of dietary fat. So if you're taking it, have it with a meal that includes something like avocado, olive oil, or a few nuts. And don't forget, your skin can make vitamin D from sunlight. Even just 10 to 15 minutes of gentle morning sun on your arms or face can help, if you're in a climate that allows for it. Now, this brings us to an even deeper point: how supplements, even ones that seem safe, can create imbalances. Because here's what's often left out of the conversation. When we load up on one vitamin, it can unintentionally push others out of balance. And our muscles, especially the ones in our legs that carry us everywhere, are incredibly sensitive to that. For example, taking too much vitamin D without enough magnesium can lead to cramping, twitching, or even feelings of heaviness in the legs. Magnesium helps activate vitamin D in the body, and when it's low, as it often is in older adults, extra vitamin D can't work properly. So it sits there, unused, and calcium levels start to rise. That's when you start feeling off. So it's not just about what you're taking, but what your body is missing because of it. Does that surprise you? It surprises a lot of people, because again, these vitamins aren't marketed with any warning labels. They don't tell you that your balance, your strength, your confidence walking down the hallway could be affected. But it's true. The good news? These are all things you can take control of, starting now. Let's take a quick pause here and think about your own daily routine. Do you take a multivitamin? Maybe a few extra supplements? Many people over 60 do, especially when trying to cover their bases. But have you ever stopped to total up how much of each nutrient you're actually getting? It's not just what's in one bottle. It's the combination of everything. A multivitamin, a bone support blend, maybe an energy or memory booster. They often overlap. And it's easy to end up with 3 or 4 times the daily dose of something like vitamin B6 or vitamin D without even realizing it. That's why I always recommend this gentle first step. Pull all your supplements out onto the kitchen table one day. Lay them out. Read the labels. Write down the total amounts of vitamin E, B6, and D that you're taking in across the board. Then ask yourself, why am I taking each of these? Do I need this much? Has my doctor ever reviewed this with me? And if you're not sure, bring the list to your next appointment. Most doctors appreciate when patients take an active role in understanding their health, and they'll be able to help you figure out what's right for your unique needs. You might discover you can actually simplify your routine and still feel better, stronger, steadier, more like yourself again. I met a woman recently who did just that. She was feeling overwhelmed, not just physically, but mentally, from trying to keep up with a dozen different bottles every day. Once she simplified things, focused on getting nutrients from real food, and only supplemented the few areas she was actually low in, her energy returned. And even more than that, her legs felt lighter. She told me, I didn't realize how heavy they felt until the heaviness went away. That's what balance feels like. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what's right for you, listening to your body, respecting its signals, and knowing that sometimes strength comes not from adding, but from letting go of what no longer serves you. So now, let's talk about that final vitamin, the one that surprises nearly everyone I speak with. Vitamin A, particularly in the form of preformed vitamin A from supplements or fortified foods. You might know it as retinol or retinyl palmitate. Now, vitamin A is important for vision, immune function, and skin health, sure, but too much of it, especially over time, can be harmful. And the harm isn't always dramatic or obvious at first. It can creep up slowly, in ways that look and feel like aging, but aren't necessarily aging at all. Here's where this ties directly into your legs and mobility. Excess vitamin A has been linked to reduced bone density and weakened muscle coordination. 2 things no one wants as they get older. In fact, there are several studies showing that high intake of preformed vitamin A can increase the risk of hip fractures, especially in older adults. And what often happens before a fracture? A stumble, a moment of instability, legs that feel weaker than they should. Now think about this. Many people are already getting enough vitamin A from their diet, especially if they eat eggs, dairy, liver, or fortified cereals. And if you're also taking a multivitamin, a separate vision support supplement, or even certain skin or anti-aging formulas, the total amount can add up fast. It's not unusual to see people taking in 2, 3, even 4 times the recommended amount without realizing it. I had a conversation recently with a woman in her 70s who was very health conscious. She prided herself on taking excellent care of her body. But she told me her knees had been feeling shaky, and she was starting to avoid certain stairs in her home because of it. We went over her supplement list together, and it turned out she was taking over 3,000 micrograms of preformed vitamin A every day, more than triple the safe upper limit for her age group. Once she adjusted her regimen, swapped to a food-based multivitamin, and focused on colorful veggies like carrots and sweet potatoes, which give you beta-carotene, a form of vitamin A your body can regulate naturally, she started feeling steadier again within a couple of months. And that's a key distinction I want to highlight. Vitamin A from plants, beta-carotene, is much safer because your body only converts it into what it actually needs. It doesn't flood your system, but preformed vitamin A from supplements skips that filter. It goes straight into the bloodstream and in high doses can start to build up in your liver and bones. Over time, that buildup weakens the very structure that supports you, your skeleton and the muscles that connect to it. I met a woman recently who did just that. She was feeling overwhelmed, not just physically, but mentally, from trying to keep up with a dozen different bottles every day. Once she simplified things, focused on getting nutrients from real food, and only supplemented the few areas she was actually low in, her energy returned. And even more than that, her legs felt lighter. She told me, "I didn't realize how heavy they felt until the heaviness went away." That's what balance feels like. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what's right for you. Listening to your body, respecting its signals, and knowing that sometimes strength comes not from adding, but from letting go of what no longer serves you. So now, let's talk about that final vitamin, the one that surprises nearly everyone I speak with, vitamin A, particularly in the form of preformed vitamin A from supplements or fortified foods. You might know it as retinol or retinyl palmitate. Now, vitamin A is important for vision, immune function, and skin health, sure, but too much of it, especially over time, can be harmful. And the harm isn't always dramatic or obvious at first. It can creep up slowly, in ways that look and feel like aging, but aren't necessarily aging at all. Here's where this ties directly into your legs and mobility. Excess vitamin A has been linked to reduced bone density and weakened muscle coordination, two things no one wants as they get older. In fact, there are several studies showing that high intake of preformed vitamin A can increase the risk of hip fractures, especially in older adults. And what often happens before a fracture? A stumble, a moment of instability, legs that feel weaker than they should. Now think about this. Many people are already getting enough vitamin A from their diet, especially if they eat eggs, dairy, liver, or fortified cereals. And if you're also taking a multivitamin, a separate vision support supplement, or even certain skin or anti-aging formulas, the total amount can add up fast. It's not unusual to see people taking in 2, 3, even 4 times the recommended amount without realizing it. I had a conversation recently with a woman in her 70s who was very health conscious. She prided herself on taking excellent care of her body. But she told me her knees had been feeling shaky, and she was starting to avoid certain stairs in her home because of it. We went over her supplement list together, and it turned out she was taking over 3,000 micrograms of preformed vitamin A every day, more than triple the safe upper limit for her age group. Once she adjusted her regimen, swapped to a food-based multivitamin, and focused on colorful veggies like carrots and sweet potatoes, which give you beta-carotene, a form of vitamin A your body can regulate naturally, she started feeling steadier again within a couple of months. And that's a key distinction I want to highlight. Vitamin A from plants, beta-carotene, is much safer because your body only converts it into what it actually needs. It doesn't flood your system, but preformed vitamin A from supplements skips that filter. It goes straight into the bloodstream and, in high doses, can start to build up in your liver and bones. Over time, that buildup weakens the very structure that supports you, your skeleton and the muscles that connect to it. So here's something simple you can do this week. Check your labels for the words retinyl palmitate, retinyl acetate, or just vitamin A as retinol. These indicate preformed A. If you see a high number, especially anything over 900 micrograms daily, it's worth reevaluating. Often, you can safely get what you need from food. A few servings of leafy greens, orange vegetables, and maybe a bit of cheese or egg yolk now and then. Your body is wonderfully good at pulling what it needs from these sources without overloading your system. And if you're someone who's concerned about vision, especially night vision or age-related changes, it's tempting to reach for high-A formulas promising to support eye health. But what those bottles don't always mention is that too much of a good thing can slowly chip away at your balance, your stability, and your confidence on your feet. Let's not forget, feeling unsure about your footing doesn't just affect your legs. It affects your entire life. Maybe you stop walking outside as much. Maybe you skip the stairs or the daily market trip. Maybe you feel yourself hesitating to join your friends for an outing because you're worried about getting tired. That shrinking of your world doesn't start with a fall. It starts with those quiet little signals your legs give you. Fatigue, shakiness, instability. But here's the uplifting truth. These are not just signs of aging. They are signs your body is communicating with you. And if you listen carefully, you can respond in a way that restores strength, steadiness, and confidence. So where does all of this leave us? It leaves us with an important mindset shift. More isn't always better when it comes to supplements. Sometimes, the real key to strength is letting go of the things that might be quietly holding you back. When your body is free from overload, it can start to feel lighter again, literally and emotionally. I want you to imagine something for a moment. It's a crisp morning, you're getting up from your favorite chair, and you notice your legs feel solid, reliable. You walk across the room without that usual hint of hesitation. That subtle oof you used to make when standing up? Gone. It's a small thing maybe, but those little shifts are powerful. They add up. They remind you that change is possible at any age. You deserve to feel that way. You deserve to trust your legs, your balance, your strength. And you absolutely deserve to be fully informed about what you're putting into your body. Because your body still responds, still adapts, still heals. Even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And it doesn't take drastic measures. Just a few thoughtful changes. Swapping out one supplement, skipping another. Replacing something synthetic with a fresh vegetable or a short walk in the sun. These are not just adjustments. They are affirmations that your well-being matters. You've come this far, and you've learned so much already. There's still more we can explore together, especially the small, empowering habits that support strong legs, steady footing, and a joyful, mobile life. Like getting up and walking to the kitchen without thinking twice, stepping over a curb with confidence, or standing in line without needing to shift your weight because your legs feel tired. These small moments are deeply connected to your independence, your freedom, and your ability to enjoy each day on your terms. And I want to spend a little time with you now, talking about how we can gently reinforce and rebuild that kind of leg strength. Not with punishing exercise routines or complicated programs, but with realistic, doable steps that fit right into your rhythm. Let's start with something simple but often overlooked. Hydration. I know it might not sound exciting, but staying hydrated plays a quiet, crucial role in how strong and steady your legs feel. When you're even mildly dehydrated, your muscles can cramp more easily. You might feel a heaviness in your legs, or like they're dragging behind the rest of your body. It's something many people chalk up to aging. But the truth is, your muscles are like sponges. They need water to stay supple, to contract properly, and to bounce back after activity. A neighbor of mine, a man in his late 60s, told me he used to think his calf cramps were just part of getting older. He'd get them almost every evening, especially after walking his dog. We sat down one day and looked at his routine. And do you know what we found? He was barely drinking 3 glasses of water a day. Once he started sipping water throughout the day, just a little bit at a time, especially in the morning and around his walk, those cramps almost completely disappeared. He couldn't believe something so simple had made such a big difference. Now, you don't need to carry around a giant water bottle or force yourself to gulp. Just keep a glass nearby in the kitchen, at your desk, or on the side table. Herbal teas count too, and so does broth. Even fruit like oranges, watermelon, and cucumbers are great sources of hydration. The point is to keep your muscles happy, your joints lubricated, and your body moving with ease. Another gentle but incredibly powerful way to support leg strength is to focus on balance. Not big, intimidating balance exercises, but the kind that simply fit into your daily routine. When you're brushing your teeth, try standing on one foot for a few seconds. When you're waiting for the microwave or stirring a pot, shift your weight side to side slowly. These little movements challenge the muscles in your legs and core to stabilize you. And they do it in a way that feels natural, not forced. One woman I worked with started doing a simple routine every morning after she brushed her hair. She'd hold on to the back of a chair and lift one foot just a few inches off the ground, holding it there while counting to 5. Then she'd switch. It took her less than 2 minutes, and within a couple of weeks, she told me she felt more sure-footed when stepping off the curb near her mailbox. That's what we're after. Not perfection, but progress you can feel. And speaking of feeling steady, let's talk about foot health, because your feet are the foundation of your strength. Over the years, our arches can flatten, circulation may slow, and even a small bunion or callus can subtly throw off our entire posture. That's why I always encourage people to really pay attention to their feet. Stretch them, massage them, and make sure their shoes are actually supporting their natural alignment. If you haven't already, try spending just a couple minutes a day gently rolling your foot over a tennis ball or a frozen water bottle. It relieves tension, wakes up the nerves, and helps improve your connection to the ground. It's a small habit that sends a powerful message to your body. I'm here. I'm grounded. I'm supported. And that sense of being supported extends beyond the physical. So many of the people I talk to have quietly accepted a slow decline in their strength. Not because they've given up, but because they were never told they had a choice. They were never told that supplements they trusted could be working against them, or that small daily practices could help restore what they thought was lost. But you know now. You've seen how too much calcium, magnesium, and vitamin A can weaken, not strengthen, your legs over time. And you've also seen how letting go of what's not serving you can create space for healing, energy, and real strength to return. You don't need to chase after youth. You are not trying to look or feel 20 again. What you're doing is something far more powerful. You're claiming the kind of vitality that allows you to keep showing up for the life you love. Whether that's gardening, dancing, walking your dog, playing with grandkids, or just waking up without dreading those first few steps. This is about reclaiming trust in your body. And trust builds slowly. One thoughtful choice at a time. You're not starting over. You're building on the wisdom and resilience you already have. The things we've talked about. Adjusting your supplements, staying hydrated, nurturing balance, supporting your feet. These are not burdens. They're tools. And they're here to help you feel steady, energized, and connected again. Now, if any of this resonated with you, if you found yourself nodding, remembering a moment where your legs felt off or unsure, please share your thoughts in the comments. You might be surprised how many others are going through the exact same thing. Your story could help someone else feel less alone, more hopeful, and more empowered to take that next small step. And if this conversation felt helpful to you, would you do me a favor? Click that like button. It really helps this message reach more people who might be searching for answers. And if you'd like more conversations like this, where we explore the small changes that make a big difference in how we feel after 60, go ahead and subscribe. We're building a space here where we support each other, one step at a time. You've got so much life ahead of you. So many sunrises, meals, and shared laughs. Let's keep your legs strong so you can keep walking into all of it. Steady, sure, and joyful. I'll see you soon.